Welcome back.
Welcome.
Welcome.
We
This
here.
is this is sisters reading romance.
Are you sure? You sound a little
I'm like,
unsure.
I'm so out of it this morning,
Do
Ayesha.
you know
Don't
where you
even
are right
mention.
now?
That's questionable, honestly.
You're like, this is maybe sisters reading
Yeah,
romance.
maybe. I don't know. We could have started a whole new podcast before I even figured it out. So
Yeah, maybe. Okay. So this is episode 73, I think. We'll probably double check. And we're recording via Zoom for the first time in the
yeah, it
history
is.
of this podcast.
It was a trial to get it to work.
Thank God I've interviewed via Zoom before when I did that my last podcast. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known how to troubleshoot your audio. Also, as someone who's on Zoom every single day, you'd think that you would know what's going
Because
on.
I literally just turn my Zoom on my laptop and it just works. I don't record things. I just turn it on and someone set that up. I did
Hmm.
do Zoom settings so like I didn't have like a waiting room and stuff like that. And people could share screen without asking me to let them share the screen. But
But
other than
that's as
that,
far as it goes.
I haven't had to set anything up.
I see. Well, I got us going. So, okay. This is week 2 of Mafia March. Mafia March. And um my brain is so fried right now. This week we read, what is the book?
The Capo's Boy. That's a that's a
By
name. By
Asia
Asia
Fox.
Fox. Yeah. And it is a 3.9 rating with 1,238 ratings on
That
Goodreads.
seems very high.
I don't know. I found this on Goodreads. And I want you to know, I take no responsibility for this book because Ayesha requested
An
an
MM.
MM Mafia, and this was like the first one that got suggested to me on Goodreads. So I sent it to her. She could have done some more research. She could have looked into more. So I took no responsibility for Ayesha's opinions on this book. Okay.
I mean, right. So we read it. 3.9 is very high. Uh yeah, let's go back and start in tropes. So Mafia, obviously.
Yeah.
MM, which I guess isn't really a trope, it's just like a label. So if you want to know, it's MM. Um, age gap. I honestly had no idea how old they were, but on the cover, one of them is like got gray hair. So I was like, is
Dude,
this
the
accurate? I don't know.
cover is like
Weird.
the entire time
It's
I was
weird.
reading this, I was like, that's the guy on the cover. Like,
It's weird.
Vinny is the dude on the cover, and he's not like if I spotted him in a club, I wouldn't, you know? You know what I mean? Because that's how they met. They met in a club.
Yeah. It is a very like weird story how they like met and then he like just became his like little kept
Kept
boy.
boy. The
It,
Capo's
it
boy.
it's also the title. I realized that like the thing is with um covers of indie books is that the author doesn't always have like many choices because you have to pay for covers and like cover models are like it's a thing. So I totally get it, but also like this cover is not good.
No.
It's weird.
Looking at it
Um
now, I'm like, wow, this is super photoshopped, but
yeah, I mean, okay, so I have age gap because but I don't know if they actually said who what their ages were. So I don't know. I don't
no, but
remember
I
anymore.
assume that Vinny is like late 30s and Nikki is in his 20s.
That's what I assumed too, but I didn't want to make assumptions, so I had age gap question mark in my notes.
I think age gap.
I had secret relationship and forbidden love as my other
Yeah.
trope. And then I have like Runaway Bride as another trope, but
I
I don't know if that
guess.
like counts. Um, what else is there? Like this is very tropey.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's tropey.
That's all I have. So
I mean,
unless
that's
you
all
could
I
think of
can
something
got.
else.
I can't think of any other tropes.
So, I mean, trigger warning wise, attempted murder.
Attempted murder, they murder somebody on page two, don't they?
I mean, it's just like, oh, so and so was shot. Oh God. Like it's very briefly mentioned. It's not like it's not like the last book we read where it's like he empties his clip into her. And it's like a little more graphic. This was like a lot less graphic. It was just like, oh, he's dead now. He got shot.
I mean,
So
this book
besides
wasn't really
the
descriptive in general, so.
it wasn't. You were right.
But
Um,
it was only 230 pages, so.
it felt longer. It felt longer. Um, okay, so Nikki and Vinny. Vinny is so I don't obviously know the inner workings of the mob very well.
What you don't
Is
know by your extensive research of the
of
mafia.
romance novels. So Vinny is technically second in command, but his grandfather is in command but running the mafia in the United States from Italy.
I think he runs the mafia in Italy too. And he's Vinny is the capo of like the American branch.
Ranch, like it's a company that you
It's a
just
company, is it
expand.
not?
I mean, like, I guess technically, yes, it is a company. I mean, theoretically. Okay, so yeah, I wasn't quite sure how that dynamic worked. It was kind of weird, to be honest. But I don't know. I'm not in the mafia, so I wouldn't be able to tell you how that would work out. I did find that like I thought this was going to be darker, and it was like really fluffy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like I don't know. I wouldn't really put many trigger warnings on this. And did you? I didn't quite really buy into either characters, to be totally honest.
Honestly, to me, should we read the back of the book before we start
Okay, yes. Do you want to read it or do you want me
getting
to read
into
it?
it? I mean, I've never excelled at reading out loud, so
Okay. It's a really fucking long back of the book. Okay. Nikki, I never intended to be a mobster's secret lover, but somehow I found myself in that position. It's been 2 years now, and I can't say I hate it. It only becomes a problem when Vinny's family tries to marry him off to somebody else. I may be his little secret, but I refuse to be his side piece. When I find myself on the run, fearing for my life, I'm not sure who I can turn to, especially when I'm not positive Vinny isn't behind the threats to my life. I was his dirty little secret, and if he wants to get married, it made sense for him to get rid of me first. I just don't think I can take the fact the man I love wants me dead. Vinny. He was supposed to be a one night stand, but that turned into a week, and then a month, and then 2 years. Before I knew it, Nicky was ingrained in my very soul. I would do anything for him, protect him from anyone, even the dangerous life I live. When he ran from me, I knew I should have let him go for his sake, but I can't. Being the capo of my mafia crime family means nothing to me without Nicky at my side. If I can figure out who is trying to kill him, I might just be able to bring him home. I just have to find him first. That was fucking so it's long.
it was very long. It was longer than the book.
Yeah, relative, yeah.
But it's
So
accurate. It like tells you exactly what happens in the book.
that is accurate. That is very accurate. I feel like I feel like this book started really strong. So when the like overreaction of the like marriage thing, and then Nikki like running away, being like, "Well, how do I know you're not going to kill me?" And then Vinny being like, "You just need to listen. I just told you I wasn't." And then them like both kind of overreacting, and then Nikki like getting like swept up and like gone. And then Vinny trying to find him in this like period after.
Yeah.
That made sense. That was good. What I didn't quite buy was why this guy wanted to then, this other mobster went to find Nikki to get back at Vinny. Like that was such a weird conflict that didn't quite make sense.
But both mobsters were trying to find
His secret
Nikki
lover.
because when they're at the bar in Oregon,
Yeah, that was
it's
the
the
Russians
Russians
who are
and
not even bad guys in this book. They're just
he's also
guys.
they're just there because they heard whispers that the Irish were trying to
Find
find
him.
Nikki as well
So
and like
they wanted to get there first. I didn't quite get how the Russians got involved because the Russian guy, like the Russian like mobster head, is like kind of friendly with Vinny. So I was like, I'm confused. They're not
besides the
friends, but they're
fact that
not
he
not friends.
burned down a warehouse, besides that fact.
Yeah, it was that's what I mean. Like it was so weird because I kept being like, are these guys bad guys? Like
But if you
who's a
looked
bad
at
guy
it,
here?
his book is the next book.
Is it? I thought the next book was uh
The next book is the Russian, and then the last book is the guy who comes to replace the Irish mobster.
wait, what did I read? I was when I was looking at what the next book was, I'm pretty sure the next book
The next book is
was
he like
oh,
the
maybe you're
yeah.
right.
And
Hey,
then the
wait, so
last
then
book is the one of the guy that helped Nikki
okay,
on the
that's I was
bus.
reading the back of that book and I was like, oh, this is
That's the third
interesting.
book. But the
Oh,
second book is the Russian.
I see. Okay. So all the mobster heads in this universe are gay.
Or super gay. Yeah.
That seems like, I guess, possible. I,
Yeah. I did like the fact that like it was never about him hiding Nikki because he didn't want people to know he was gay. It
yeah,
was like he always was like, "No, I'm gay, guys. Like I'm not marrying some woman."
yeah, that's true. That
But
wasn't like a
yeah.
big deal in the book. Like they don't make it a like, oh, he's not out of the closet type
Hmm.
um storyline. Like it is more so the fact that like he's worried that because it's such an anomaly to be openly gay in the mafia, that he's worried someone's going to attack Nikki.
Yeah.
Not that he is hiding that he's gay. He's just not like announcing it, I guess you could say in this book. I don't know. I just didn't I thought Nikki was like at first when he like ran away, I was like, you know what? Yeah, get the fuck out of there, man. Like you do you. Like you take care of yourself. But then Vinny shows up and then he's like, okay, I guess we should get back together. And I was like, what just happened? Like you ran away and like hid for 3 months. And then and then you call him to like say, hey, send the Russian guys away, and then now he's back, and you're like, yeah, I forgive you. That seems so anticlimactic. Like, why run away and just let him back in?
I mean, yeah. Do I think that would have been a little bit longer if the book was longer? Yeah.
I guess.
But
I
this is
mean, I
a
guess,
230
yeah.
page book. Like if it was a 300, 400 page book, I think that would probably be drawn out a bit. But
I mean, I I guess you're right, but still, I just felt like it was so like the beginning was so extreme, and then it just was like, meh.
I just found that like Nikki really read as like I don't know if this is just
Like a
like
youngin.
not a youngin, but I felt he read like a woman.
Hmm.
Like,
I
and
agree.
I understand that this could just be like this is obviously a woman wrote two male characters, and like, is there any real internal distinction of like how a man thinks and how a woman thinks, that's going too deep for me, but like I really felt that like Nikki read
Like a
as a
woman
like as a woman, and then they
and
just
just gave him a male body in this book.
yeah, like there's and
I agree.
that sounds really sexist to me of being like, well, there's no distinction on Nikki being like a man, but I also like I can't explain it that like this just felt like a female character that was just like they just
I mean,
changed the sex scenes a bit, and
there was
then
no there's no prep. They just shove her in.
I know after 3 months of no sex, like you fucking kidding
You
me?
don't
There's no
just put
crap.
her in. I mean, how many times have we talked about that? How the fact that like some books they just don't
Guys, you
believe
need
in
a
prep.
prep. You need prep.
You can't just put her in. That's not how this
Yeah.
works.
But yeah,
Crazy.
I don't know. He just read as if like any female character. Like if you just like swap the cover for a woman, I honestly like probably couldn't distinct it as like this is solely like an MM romance.
Yeah, I agree. I yeah, I don't know. I never really quite bought in to either characters, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought this book was gonna hit and it just didn't hit. I also thought that the housekeepers being like the daughter was like going to university and was into like eco-friendly stuff, and then like the brother
There was a
slash
little bit
son was
too
like a
much
bodyguard.
information about the side characters, and I was like,
Yeah,
it didn't need to be there. Yeah. But
I thought that was
also,
so weird.
I also found that they spent a lot of time proving that Vinny was like a nice person, but
Hmm.
they never really spent time proving that he was like a mafia boss.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, it was weird because I felt like they kept dropping this like, but don't worry, he's nice. But don't worry, he's a nice guy. He's an
Yeah.
exception. He's a nice guy. He might be a mafia guy, but he's nice. And I just felt like I just didn't need that when you're reading a mafia, you basically just assume that they're going to be kind of like not like bad people, but people who do bad things.
Yeah.
So like I didn't need you to like try to convince me that he was a good person because I'm reading a mafia romance and I kind of already have an expectation of what I should be expecting from the characters before
Yeah.
going in. I felt like that was really overdone. It didn't need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
How do we feel about the uncle plot?
It was, I mean, I get it of like there being turmoil inside the mafia, but it just really felt that like I don't know, the like character just kind of kept like that's why it was like you could not sell to me that Vinny was all this all powerful like capo because it was just like his uncle just walks all over him. Like he just storms into his penthouse willy-nilly and people let him storm
Yeah,
into his penthouse willy-nilly.
yeah,
And it was just like I feel like if he wasn't like if he was like this like mean mafia boss, he would not give a shit that this is his uncle,
I
right?
also just felt the two bad guys were like the Irish mob and then the uncle. And the book needed to pick one because this book wasn't long enough to have two bad guys.
Yeah.
They needed to have one bad guy and then stick with it rather than two bad guys because I couldn't tell who was supposed to be bad. I was like, which plot line am I supposed to be buying into? It felt like too much
It'd
for
be
such a
different
small
if it
book
was like the uncle was secretly working with the Irish mob
to get rid of Nikki.
to get rid of Vinny and Nikki, but
Hmm.
instead it's like
two separate plots.
Two separate plots.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought that
I
was
see that.
kind of confusing.
Do you
I
want to get to my?
also,
Oh, I was gonna be like, you want to get to my least favorite part, but you can continue.
the other thing I was just gonna say was that the whole like the mafia in general that was portrayed in this book was very tame. This was a very tame mafia romance.
Yeah, but it's also
Okay.
maybe we're reading like dark mafia. I don't know. Maybe we're expecting.
Isn't mafia always kind of a little dark though? Like, isn't that
It's like
kind of
a
the
little like
point?
I guess yes and no. I think there are things you expect from a mafia, but they're not always dark. I've read some like lighter
I guess
mafias.
so. Okay, let's go favorite part first. What was your favorite part?
I mean, I enjoyed the running away section of like him trying to
Agreed.
like Nikki trying to decipher like how is he gonna get out of the city without being detected? How is he gonna get money?
Hmm.
Like going to the thrift store and like picking up things. So he had clothing, that kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
My favorite part was when they're in the car ride back from escaping the Irish guys that showed up in whatever small town Nikki was in. So they're in the car getting to the airport, and he calls his boss and from the bar like that he was working in. And his boss is like,
Mm-hmm.
"Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Cool. Thanks for letting me know." She just was like, it was such a weird like, and then like hangs up. I was like, I'm so confused. What is this? But it was also
Yeah.
at the same time, I was like, I wish she was part of it more because I was like, she
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Well, I feel
And
like
Vinny's like confused.
you might see her in the last book because her nephew is the
Oh, I
guy in
didn't
the
know
last
that.
book.
I didn't
Did
connect
you
those two.
not? You didn't connect the
I
dots of like the
I
guy that
didn't
helped
read.
him on the train, got him the
I did.
job
Yes, I
in
connected that.
the bar, and then when you read the back of the book, you're like, that's the same guy who
I didn't read the back of the book, all the back of the books.
you didn't remember you. It was the only back of the book you read. The second the like the one you
No,
thought was the second one.
I read the one with the guy at the end. That was the back book I read with the tracker
Demetrius?
thing. No, the guy at the very end that gave him like the okay, let's go. That's a good segue. Let's go to my least favorite part. The ending when they show up at this guy's office and he basically inserts trackers into them. I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Wait, that
You
guy
don't,
has a book?
yeah, he has a book and it's like connected to this series and it's you get the story of that guy and his husband.
I didn't read that.
Okay, well that's the one that I found.
Oh, I didn't
I'm
see
not
that
even
one.
sure what it's called.
Yeah, because it's not part of
Oh,
the
it's called The
series.
Marriage Contract. It's called Marriage Mayhem 1. That's this. It's in a different series,
Oh,
but they're
different series.
connected
That's
now.
why. Okay.
But anyway, let's talk about that because they joke about putting trackers. Like Vinny jokes about putting a tracker on Nikki, and then at the end of the book, he actually finds a guy to insert a tracker in Nikki.
But
And then
also, fun fact, they've been putting trackers in his grandfather. Did you not catch that? Of like they've been putting it in his pasta?
I thought it was a one-time thing. They put it in once to try to like scare him into cooperating. Um, and then after that, they hadn't done it. But the grandfather doesn't know the tracker doesn't still work. They just assume that the tracker is still a thing. But it was such a weird. It was a weird. Oh, the whole thing was weird because
Yeah.
Nikki's like, "I thought you were joking," and he's like, "Nope, we're getting trackers." And I'm like, "What? What? I'm sorry.
And
You're
then Nikki kind
uh,
of like laid down a bit when he was like, yeah, we're getting trackers. He's like, fine, I guess we'll get trackers.
I was just like, bro, this guy wants to put a tracker in you. Like, I understand you're married, but like, no, no.
Yeah.
That's my least favorite part. My favorite part
M-
was the one conversation with that weird bar owner slash the aunt
Oh,
of that guy. And then
I
my least
d
favorite part is this.
I did like when the girl comes in. So like Vinny is quote unquote supposed to be marrying this girl, which is why Nikki runs away, yada yada yada. And it turns out to be one of Nikki's old club friends. I
It's
love
weird.
that. When she like walked in, which the thing is, I wish it was hinted at before. Like I wish
I agree. But
he
she
like
was,
he like shot a text to her before he ran away to be like, hey, by the way, I'm getting out
I'm
of
going
town.
underground.
Like,
Yeah.
if you don't hear from me, like, I wish it was like hinted at that he knew her
Foreshadowed.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy the fact that it was just like, this was like another club rat. And
Although I wanted her story. Like I want the book that I want is her book with the freaking cousin.
with the dumbass
Yeah.
cousin
That's the book
who
that I
has,
want.
which is the cousin that has the multiple kids that Vinny has been
The other
paying.
cousin. The other cousin. The younger
The
one that
junior.
doesn't have kids yet. Yeah. Yeah. I
Well,
wanted that book.
I don't think we're gonna get it because
I think
I
she only
think,
writes MM.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, my least favorite part is their fucking names. Okay,
Nikki and Vinny.
why is the head of the mafia named Vinny? Like, it's
I don't
just like
know.
the E at it just like seems so kid like that's what you call like.
I mean, that is a very Irish ma or Italian mafia name, though.
I know, but it's also like you don't name somebody who's gonna take power something that's gonna be Eid at the end. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess,
It
yeah,
just kind of
that's
takes
fair.
away their like being not kid like. And then also when they were like, and they keep like just saying each other's names, it wasn't just like,
Yeah, it
it
was a
was like
lot.
Vinny, Nikki, Vinny, Nick. And it was like, okay, one, give a nickname, please. Thank you.
Also,
That'd be
I
great.
understand that their names are
Yeah,
Vinny
and
and
I'm like,
Nikki.
I understand. I know who we're talking about. We don't need to repeat the names. And they're so close, like kind of close together that like
Yes,
you're
they
just
sound
like,
very similar.
it's too many E's, too many E's.
That's a weird least favorite part, but I get it.
It was a cinema sin. It was a picky Nick.
Okay, so what was your rating of the book?
I gave it a 3.
Give this a three, dude.
I mean, on Goodreads, I gave it a 3. I could probably argue it
Okay.
could be a 2.5, but we round it up.
Okay, so you gave it a three on Goodreads, but a 2.5 in real life.
Yeah.
Okay, I gave this a 2.5. I did, I think I might have given this a two on Goodreads, to be honest, because I was not really a fan of this book. I don't know, just did not like it. It was,
I
it
mean,
left the,
it literally took me like what, 2, 3 hours to read this book. Given what it is,
it
it
took
was
me a
still
while to get into it.
entertaining. It was still entertaining for like given what it is. For like a 230-page book. Okay, here's a question. Would you wear or would you read this series, continue with this series, or would you continue with the captured by or whatever the first
The
one we
Taken
read?
by a Sinner. I
Yeah.
would read Taken by a Sinner. I'd continue with the Michelle
Oh,
Hurd books over this book. Like
wow.
these.
That's harsh.
Is it though?
I just want to know. Ayesha requested an MM and
I did.
she could have
I'll
looked
have
up
to
an MM herself. I'm just saying.
I'll have to keep I'll have to keep looking for something. Okay. So yeah, I gave it a two and a half. It's steam? I don't know, like a two? Like it's actually not that steamy. Like maybe
Yeah,
one
they
and a
had like
half.
two scenes,
Yeah, like
maybe.
the one when he finds him
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe one more.
Yeah,
It's yeah, maybe a two. I don't know. Is that would you say two, one and a half?
I would say 1.5 because they weren't like super long
In
or
depth?
descriptive. Yeah,
Yeah, agreed. Okay. Would you reread this?
probably not.
No. Would
No.
you
I might
recommend
read
this?
this. I might read the next ones. Who knows?
I will not be rereading the next one. Would you recommend
No,
this?
probably not.
Yeah.
I have more mafia books
I
that I
will
would
also not
recommend.
reread this, and I also would not recommend this. I probably won't continue with the series either. This will be a one and done for me personally. Um, okay. Do you want to give a quick what are you reading right now before we wrap up?
I'm reading the new Susanna Wright book that from the Olympus Pride. What's it called? It is called
Oh,
When He Dares. And it's book number 6. It just came out. I quite enjoy it. It's very different from her other books, but also could just because I spaced out reading one of her
the
last
books.
books because
Could be.
when you read them all too close together, everyone blends into the same person. But I'm quite enjoying it. It's quite different than all the other ones in that series. So
Okay, noted. I haven't read any. I haven't gone back to her in a while. Actually, I reread Feral Sin, and then I haven't gone back to her. I just finished Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage, and honestly, I loved Wes. He was so cute. His little golden
yeah,
retrieverness. I liked Swift and Saddled better than Done and Dusted for sure, personally at least. I enjoyed it more. The little black cat golden retriever dynamic was
I
good.
can't wait until what's the next one called? Lassoed, something lassoed.
Uh,
Lost and lassoed?
yes, I
Yeah,
think
Lost and
something like that.
lassoed. I
Of
can't
Teddy
wait.
and
Can't wait. And that cover,
it looks good. Yeah,
that's a shit I want.
the covers that she did are really nice. I do. They're very old school, which is I liked the Swift and Settled cover better than the Dun and Dustin cover though.
Yeah, they kind of look like, those prints you used to get when you used to have like Western days.
Yeah.
They would like they'd have like, the skirts and the vests made already, or like you would have to wear one. That's like and then they were like cowboys on it. That's the print that you get.
Yes.
They kind of look like a
Yeah.
little bit like children, a little bit like adults. You can't really tell.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. You're right. Yeah, the Swift and Settled one is a little bit nicer. Okay. Well, on that note, I need to run to work. So we are going to wrap her up. Next week, we are reading Dom by S.J. Tilley. And I'm actually really excited to talk about that because the two of us devoured that book.
Hmm.
So I think it'll be a good one. Uh, Rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast. It is super helpful when you do. It helps people find us. There also will be a bonus episode coming out in the next week or so where we do a Q&A, where I did a Q&A with Luna Day, the author of Three Hearts Hideaway, who joined my book club. We did her book for my book club. So she came on and actually did a Q&A with our book club and our book club members, which is really exciting. So I have her Q&A that will go live on the podcast in the next week, hopefully. We'll see if I get it edited in time, but it'll be out pretty soon. So keep your eye out for that. The Springbox orders close next week. So if you wanted a Springbox, this is the time to go. There's only 2 left. So if they sell it before the orders close, then they sell out. So if you wanted a Springbox, this is the time to jump on it. Otherwise, we'll be back in your ears next week.
Bye.